Long before the conquistadors arrived with muskets and steel, the Americas were already home to powerful warriors, strategic empires, and bloody rivalries. Fortresses rose on mountaintops, ritual warfare shaped entire civilizations, and in the silence of ancient battlefields, the stories of a hidden warrior past remain buried in earth and bone. This is ancient warfare in the Americas. The earliest signs of organized conflict in the Americas date back over 10,000 years. Evidence of trauma on skeletons, fortified settlements, and mass graves indicate that war was no stranger to early hunter-gatherers. In what is now North America, the remains at sites like Crow Creek, South Dakota, reveal entire villages wiped out in coordinated attacks during the 1300s. Nearly 500 individuals were killed, many scalped and mutilated. But why? It wasn't empire. It was survival. Land, food, and security in a harsh environment were reason enough for war. Cahokia, the great city of the Mississippi River Valley, was more than a ceremonial center. Around 1150 AD, a giant palisade was constructed, massive wooden walls stretching for miles with bastions and lookout towers. Why would a spiritual city need military defenses? Competition for resources, social upheaval, and rival chiefdoms likely pushed Cahokia into a more militant posture. Artifacts like copper war axes, smashed skulls, and burial mounds for warriors suggest that Mississippian society had a defined warrior class. Warfare was a tool of power, and Cahokia used it to dominate trade and politics in the Midwest. The Hopewell culture, active between 100 BC and 500 AD, is often seen as peaceful, famous for its intricate earthworks and ceremonial centers. But the story isn't that simple. Some scholars believe Hopewell elites engaged in symbolic warfare, raids or confrontations not meant for total destruction, but for prestige, power, and spiritual balance. Trophy skulls and severed limbs have been found in burial contexts, possibly as war offerings. In this world, warfare could be as much about cosmology as it was about conquest. In the Four Corners region, ancestral Puebloan peoples built settlements into cliffs, places like Mesa Verde and Canyon de Shelly. For a long time, archaeologists thought these were simply adaptations to harsh climates. But now, many believe these cliff dwellings were defensive. Around the 1200s, evidence shows increased conflict, burned villages, butchered skeletons, and watchtowers built into canyon walls. Drought and food shortages likely triggered migrations and violence. The once cooperative Puebloan world fractured, and fortresses became necessary. Warfare in Mesoamerica was not just political, it was sacred. The Maya conducted elaborate campaigns, as seen in inscriptions at places like Tikal and Caracol. Kings captured rival rulers and sacrificed them in public rituals. Their cities often had defensive earthworks and walls. But the Aztecs took warfare to another level. Their entire society revolved around conquest and tribute. The famous flower wars between the Aztecs and their rivals were semi-ritualized conflicts meant to capture prisoners for human sacrifice. For the Aztec warrior, battle wasn't just survival, it was the path to glory and the afterlife. Before the Inca ruled the Andes, earlier empires like the Wari and Tiwanaku developed large, militarized states. The Wari built roads, fortresses, and centralized control from the highlands. The Tiwanaku, with their massive temples and stonework, show fewer signs of warfare, but they too vanished abruptly, possibly due to internal conflict. Then came the Inca. With disciplined armies complex logistics and massive road networks, they forged an empire stretching 2,500 miles. The Inca were expansionist and strategic, offering alliance first, then force. Their fortresses like Sacsayhuaman were masterpieces of both engineering and military power. Even in the far north, warfare shaped societies. The Thule, ancestors of the Inuit, were expert hunters, seafarers, and at times, raiders. Oral histories speak of battles with Norse settlers in Greenland and even internal clan rivalries. Weapons included harpoons, bows, and clubs. Warfare wasn't constant, but when it happened, it was brutal and decisive, often fought in isolated, frozen landscapes where survival was already a daily war. Along the coasts of what is now British Columbia and Washington, warrior traditions were tied to prestige and wealth. The Haida and Tlingit conducted raids on rival villages to capture slaves and assert dominance. Large wooden war canoes, painted with symbols of power, cut through the coastal waters. Warrior chiefs led surprise attacks, and victory meant honor, property, and influence. Totem poles and oral epics preserve stories of these warriors, where lineage and combat prowess determined your rank. Warfare in ancient America was as diverse as its landscapes. It ranged from ritual duels to full-scale invasions. It created empires, toppled cities, and redrew the map long before Europeans arrived. But it wasn't always about destruction. For many cultures, war was also about cosmology, diplomacy, and social balance. It was spiritual, strategic, sometimes even poetic. And while ruins remain, the strategies, hierarchies, and honors of these ancient warriors echo faintly through time, waiting to be rediscovered. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the warrior traditions of ancient America. If you enjoyed this journey into hidden history, subscribe to Echoes of America and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next episode of Untold Secrets of Ancient America. New mysteries await in the ruins and stories of a forgotten world.